Okay, so last time we talked about funding after a long struggle uh, with the lack of MATLAB. So now I would like to check that can we do this better? So because this company is losing money at the first 2 years, so practically what we can do here is to raise somehow funds, and the idea was at the beginning to issue bonds, collect mm, the funds of the investors, and then we can modernize our business line and then change our operations, and then we are able to scale up our businesses and to generate cash. But can we do this otherwise? So yesterday we were talking about financial lease, and today we should check that what is happening if we are playing with financial lease contracts. So uh, in many cases, if someone would like to uh, mm, reshape or reorient the company, so you need some kind of consolidation at the company, then you need a lot of liquidity or cash. Uh, you could sell an asset. So there is a possibility to sell assets, but still you need such assets. So selling it and renting it back would be one option, but it's much better to use lease in this case, because at the end of the day, if the lease contract expires and you are not going to default at that time, then you can purchase it back at the residual value. So you can still use the asset, but uh, you have the chance also to recover it. So what can we do here? We have some properties, and we don't have to sell it all. So if we are looking on the data set, then we can see that practically the funding needs are somewhere around 212 million euros. Okay, we know that after interest and so on, then we can still bigger losses. So let's say that right now we have no idea about the financial profit. So okay, paid interest what will be, because paid interest will be in this case the lease fee. So it already has a financial lease component. So I was careful when I planned this. So right now we have no idea what will be here. So maybe we are creating some additional cash reserves. So if we are saying that okay, we need such amount of money and some extra, it doesn't matter so much, because even if we are trying to cover this here, so let's say we are conservative and we would like to collect as many cash as in the case of this scenario, and if we have some excessive cash at the end of the day, then we will be happy with that. So we will reinvest it in the next year into deposits, and then it will generate some revenues for us. So yeah, let's stick with this number. Okay, so let's create. Okay, so we can say funding requirements. So as an educated guess, we are defining that this number. I'm not sure how circular will be this, so but let's keep the reference here right now. So okay, but since this is an educated guess, so we need this money. Uh, um, that's why we have also to change the properties. So this will, it must be decreased by a level. But after that we are, so this is the case of the lease contract, because, okay, I'm selling this asset, but after that it must be reappearing, because at the end of the day I must calculate the depreciation of this. So we can say that, yeah, this is, I must sell this, but once I have the lease contract, then immediately it reappears. So practically, we don't have to do anything with assets from accounting point of view. So, okay, but still we have to write it here. So funding requirements. So we are selling some of our buildings and leasing it back. So this is our great strategy. So what will happen? Changes in the balance sheet. Sorry, not buildings, property. Remains unchanged, as well as depreciation. It's good, we don't have to do anything. This is what I like. But next thing, cash reserve. So in the case of the cash reserve, obviously it must go up because we are selling stuff. So we have to say here this number here. This is negative. So I was able to increase cash reserves immediately, and then we can see that the losses starts to eat this up, but after that it goes back. Also, if we would have any kind of data about the related maintenance fees, so it would be so nice to have this, but we have only wages, depreciation, so we know the depreciation was not affected, so it doesn't matter for us. Yeah, so maybe we could outsource some part of our labor force by using full service lease, just we are not able to do that, or at least we are not able to estimate it. So let's keep it this way. So wages are not affected. Not affected due to insufficient data set. So now we were able to deal with, this is the profit and loss statement. Let's keep it bold, because in this case we can. Looks nicer. So what can happen? After that we have to define the lease fee. Yeah. Okay, so if we are opening not the case study but the lecture notes, and scrolling down to the acquired pricing equation, then we can see that somehow we have to build up something like this. So first of all, what do we need here? Interest rates. So lease fee pricing. So first component, interest rates. We know that there were the R0, which represented the long-term funding cost of the leasing company. How can we estimate this? Luckily, we did this last week. Just in this case, we were able to see that, oh, there were the BBB yields. So we can assume that leasing company will be not rated as BBB. So they're supposed to be way better than us. So we can say that let's take government bond yield and inflation all together, and this will be their funding cost. So or still we can say that yes, but if they are funding themselves on the long run, maybe we should not take all the inflation into our account. So we could say that, yeah, but on long run, inflation can be around the targeted inflation in the Eurozone if we have credible monetary policy, and then just let's add government bond yield to this, and then we can say that we can estimate this thing. So long run expectation so still we can say that on the long run we are providing or we are assuming positive real interest rates, but we are not building in all the shocks what is happening right now, because we know that later on in the future there can be other shocks like climate related or other stuff. So then second component, maturity and additional down payments. We have no idea about this, so we are skipping it to 0. Second, commission on leasing company. Obviously, they have to make somehow money, so what will be their margin? Hmm. 1% of margin would be quite hard, so let's give half at the beginning. Then we can scale it up then when we are trying to define that what is the level when we are not competitive anymore with traditional bond issuance. Then partner risk. I mentioned already that volatility of asset price, volatility of the asset price, it would be impossible to measure because our property is completely unique, special, and there is no second-hand market for launch towers. So partner risk. So volatility is 0. It's okay. Okay, now we have to assume the partner risk. So what are the components for partner risk? So we have the default rate. No. Okay, Excel is not cooperating, so default rate. And we have time to default. and that's all. So we should see default rates of the Standards and Poor's. Obviously we could use this data, but come on, this was defined many years ago. Since then we had so many fancy plagues, wars, and so on, which is everything is terrible. So let's check that how it changes data. Yeah. So right now, what we can see here, I will copy here the source because it's a nice thing to do so, and this is this. Okay. If someone in the future would like to replicate this, then we should have them. So in the case of aerospace, automotive, capital goods, metals, I think it's quite broad, but still we can say that in the aerospace business, maybe we should not pick the last 2 years because it was quite extreme, but let's take the weighted average of the previous year. So if we are taking everything into consideration from the last 40 years, then we can say it's 2. Okay. After that, we have the time. If you have to write anything which is related to crisis situations or about some industries, I'm recommending you to use this report of the S&P because they are announcing or publishing it in every year, and it's a really good thing. Just I cannot find what I'm looking for while I'm talking because we need time. Time to default. So this. Okay. Yay! Thank you very much. So aerospace. Median original day rating for defaulters B plus. We are in triple B category. Okay, B plus is under us. Just still. Then we can ask the question that okay, average years from original rating, median years from original rating. This one is conservative because it's much lower, so we should use this. This is bad. Oh, yeah, Excel. So this is bad for the company because we are creating higher numbers, but okay. And we should not forget that this is in years, so we should not multiply it upwards. So, and also, let's keep it with 6.5 years. What would happen? We should test it definitely. Why are you negative? Okay. Then, partner risk estimation. So default rate. Just still, we are talking about percentages, so by 100. And as we were able to see, then multiplier due to capital reduction, in my data set, that was 2. So this is coming from somehow from Basel regulations. Okay. And covers additional services, if there is any. This is the last interest component. We know that we have, right now we are not using a full service lease, unfortunately, so this is just leasing back construct. So at the end of the day, if we are summing all these things up, then we can see it's highlighted with green. Total interest rate will be 5.43%. Is it good or not? It's better than the first 2 years, then higher than the last 3 years. So something. But we know that this will be an annuity. So higher interest rates are maybe not the best for us, but okay. Then we have to determine the next thing. So for example, the length of the lease contract. So this is the D component. So what I was able to find in the practice at this specific industry, that they had really long-term lease contracts. Obviously, because it starts to split the payments in time, so they were using 20 years. No, it's not a percentage anymore, it's years. Format says number 20. So let's be conservative. Obviously, if you are not exploding the vehicle at the launchpad should survive for 20 years or more, because it's made from concrete, it's made from steel, and it's big. So, and it survives a rocket launch multiple times, so it should be strong enough. Yeah. Then we should think about the residual value. In many cases, residual value is just 25%. So we can say that 25% is a good guess. Then, yeah, we have the asset price. Why are you not working? We know that this number multiplied by -1. We could take also the absolute value, but okay. It's more elegant. Whatever, just yeah. And after that, we can estimate the lease fee. So we need a bracket, a division mark, and then we can start to build. Asset price multiplied by 1 minus residual value, bracket closes, and we have to do this multiplication to meet US GAAP requirements. Also, the same thing is happening in IFRS, just in IFRS it's not specified, so there is no range or no threshold, so that's why we are combining things here. Maybe people at accounting, they would be completely unhappy about this. But this is finance. Okay, interest rate. Minus, I will zoom it out and you can see just, if I'm stopping right now, then I will be also lost. Minus 20. This is only enough here. And divided by R. Hopefully I put all the brackets in the wrong place, right place. Wow, this is our lease fee. Okay, it's just checking that if you are to compare with interest payments, no, it's paid interests. It's quite good. And maybe there is no problem with mathematics behind this. So if I'm clicking in, okay, we have to chance also to copy this. Right now I cannot. Can you see this? It's good. Okay. Then we can continue. Good. So now we have the money, and I would like to freeze this here, so I don't want to keep back and forth references. So let's paste the number here, because if I start to put it back into the profit and loss statement, then it can create circular thingies, and no, we don't want this. So also I will place this here. We know that the cash was affected. And now, first of all, we can be really happy because paid interest, they will be zeroed out. So no paid interest anymore. We just for I'm zeroing out. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Can zero this out. And paid financial lease. Then we have the lease fee, and this is flat, so we don't have to change it at all. Fixing it. And we are really happy about this. And what I'm missing from here, that why don't we have cash reserve is not paying at all. Why? Why the money is not arriving? Yeah, in the past, because it was negative, so we were not generating a thing at all. So, okay, this thing I can understand, but now we should change this. What determines our interest? Interest rate exposure. Okay, so there is nothing about how can we put our money into a bank account. So what shall we do here? What we can say, that at least we can invest into government bonds. Not great, not terrible, but right now we can see that this is on the market as an investment for our cash reserve, so we will follow this benchmark. So gained interest. Where are you? Financial revenues. We have to multiply cash, multiply, because we got it at the beginning of the year, so after that we are sitting on the cash reserve, and government bonds yield at the same time. No! Tip, 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 tip. What is happening here? Because next year we have to face with the losses. But it means that practically we are still, because this is end of the year, so until the end of the year we still have the money. Okay, not this one, but so we still have the money multiplied with the higher interest rate. Then after that we start to have this. And then now we can roll this up. So, did we anything? Or achieved we anything? So, what we can see here that, okay, the profit of the year was changing. I don't know what and how, but now it's different. So let's compare it with the original. So what we can see here that since this one is a flat lease fee, so it's not changing in time at all, because this is calculated as an annuity. So we can say that losses will be lower, obviously, because we don't have to pay as much. And then our revenue generation will be also less punished. So this is quite a lucrative thing for us. But does it have an influence on the value? So this is the lease. Wow. It has, just maybe it's... let's check it first. Just a bit. Okay, we have the EBIT, we have the taxes, we have the gain interest rate, we have the paid interest. Ah, this is the problem. Because right now it's in confusion. Yeah, and also we should update the debt before doing anything. So the debt will be this number. So please. So we can ask the question that yes, but this debt will be decreasing as we are paying the lease fees. So this is not constant at all. So we should say that, okay, this number minus this number. Or even we can fix this, so because it's constant. Okay, still good. So that must be stable. Okay, 23. And now it's 25. So we just have to change this number 25. Before we are so happy that we increased corporate value. No, it's just a mistake in the calculations. Depreciation remained the same because asset is in the hand. Floating capital, it's a calculated value, so we don't have to care about this one. Current liabilities, current assets, it's not affected. Free cash flow, the same. CAPM, let's see. Okay, this is updated, this is not changing, this is long-term liabilities, this is decreasing, so you can see it. RD, but this is different, because right now our RD is not this number. The RD is coming from the lease, and this is. Or if it would be non-transparent, so if we would have no idea what is happening here, then still we could say that, okay, we are paying some financial lease, and let's divide it with the debt. Yeah. And then we have the VACC, long-term assets, cash reserves. Wow, we are generating so much money. Cool. Then DCF salvage value will be the same, and then the fundamental value is still quite high. So what happened here? Did we miss something? Because it's nice, just I don't believe this. Or the cash reserve was pumped up so much. Why we are so good? Suffering from success. Yeah, that's yeah, the reason is because we were able to pump up the cash reserves at the beginning, and once we started to burn this away, then we were able to scale up the operations, and we were able to get back on track, and that's why cash reserves are doubled, and that's the result if we are checking the salvage value is higher, but DCF is also higher. Then there still must be something because still something is not right. So let's check free cash flow. Free cash flow? Oh, it's positive in all the cases. No. No way it can be positive. Floating capital. Floating capital is what we can see here, that this was changing a lot. So once we are trying to backtrack what is happening here, current assets, current short-term liabilities. It's the cash. Yes, you are right. Then still we are suffering from success, because we can see that we created a huge imbalance between current assets and short-term liabilities. How did we generate short-term liabilities? Where they were coming from? Yeah. So this was a constant number. So practically what we can see here, that all of our value increases were related to an artifact, because we were not able to estimate the short-term liabilities well, so we had to keep it constant. From modeling point of view, this is maybe not the most elegant result and conclusion what we can make here. Okay, so it should come up with a solution, just I have no idea how to do this. Because if we are increasing, so let's say that we are adding lease fees to the payables. I think that people at the accounting department would be really happy if I would do, unhappy if I would do this. But even if you are adding some small numbers to this, it would not change anything. So we are talking about hundreds of millions of euros, and if I am just adding, what is this, 20, yeah, 14, it would not change at all. Okay, so this is quite a powerful tool in this case to pump up. Hopefully we are not doing Enron stuff here, because Enron was also cheating with many things, but there were also an item when they were leasing tankers, and the tanker lease was included in their balance sheet, but obviously the tanker was accounted as an asset. Just the problem was in their case that that was an operational lease, operative lease, not a financial lease. So, but right now, hopefully we are not doing the same mistake, just other things. But we can see that we were able to pump up the value. What happens with bankruptcy ratio? Can we bias them as well? Sorry, improve them as well? Ah, 15, 14. So we will improve it by 1%. It's something. 24, 22. So 1% ozone p-value went down. Yeah, 1 or 2%, what we can see here as a difference. Okay, that's cool. Atmanzi, can we bias Atmanzi as well with lease contract? It was also slightly improving. It's not great, not terrible, just some changes in the I can also do the same highly advanced animation with the Ozono score, so we can see that, yeah, it's moving down a bit, but it's this is what we cannot affect. So I don't know what should we do to remove this bias, to be honest. Or is this a bias? Can we consider this as a bias? Because practically it's legal to include cash and to increase the cash reserve. So just this thing is stinky. But we added, well, we changed also the depth structure, so it's also adapted. So this. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we can see that, okay, we improved the company a lot, but still we should check that, okay, but what is happening in worst case and best case scenarios, because maybe this is still an artifact that, okay, I was able to find the good numbers, and if we would change them, then it would be just a one-time happy moment. So let's check the worst case. Because I'm so optimistic, as always. So let's close down the medium. I don't want to save anything here because let's keep it stable. Let's open the worst case and then we can... What have we done here to make this worst case? Yes, I was taking risk spread was different. Yeah. But the problem is that we are not using risk spread at all. So we were just using government bonds. yields. So right now we cannot use this at all. So if we would like to do anything with the lease fee, then we should do here manually. So practically long-term funding conditions must be changed, and not what we were doing here. So the worst case scenario, what can be possible? What can happen if inflation remains high? So inflation expectation will be changed. So long-run inflation expectation remains high. So what happens in a 70s like scenario when we have high inflation for many years? Please don't try this. Central banks, you should do your best, but so inflation is located in K. So instead of O, we have to change it to K. Then we have a high number for the. It's still not high enough. Yeah, because I pushed the wrong button. Okay, so now it's 24. Hey. But still, our cash reserve was enough to cover this. What happens with value? Decreases. Bankruptcy ratio decrease. It's not increases significantly, so okay. Can we have a best case scenario here? Because what we were playing with was the inflation. Also, the time to default is already really aggressive, so we are able to say that this could be also an alternate number here. Maybe we can check this one. I don't want to skip commission. I think that 0.5% seems to be reliable. So there are not so many external parameters to see, or maybe what we can do here is to change the contract. So if we are the lease company says that okay, we can only do this for a decade. Oh, that's increasing a bit. So how can I stress it to push it down at the level of the bond funding? So what shall we do to make this suffer? If we are increasing the commission to 2%, still not enough. Default rate. Let's double the default rate. SpaceX destroys everything in the industry and then nothing at all. So it's really hard to achieve here success. So additional services, we cannot parameterize it because this is a net lease, major is still there. So we can see that even we are completely destructive here, then the fundamental value or the bankruptcy ratios. Come on, why are you improving? Why? So they are still way better. So maybe there is a reason why companies are doing this. So just to increase our cash reserves. And this is legal, so we can do this. Yeah, so I think that would be all.
A few minutes later.
Hello, it's Future Gabor here. So, at the class, we were not able to, or I was not able to realize that what is happening with the numbers, but later on I was able to identify the problem. So why did we get so huge values for the share? And since practically we started enter operations in January, and this is when we are selling the property to the leasing company, and this is when we are acquiring the cash, then that's why we should have cash at time zero. So it's not good to increase the cash at the end of the year, because practically this is what we have in January, then at the end of the year this is our loss here, so at the end of the year this is our cash reserve. So that's why we can see that now it's much more smoother, now it's decreasing, and but still we can say that financial revenues must be calculated based on this. So this is how it's linked together. And as a result, the value is much more smoother. Still we can say that it's bigger than it was before, but it's not 6,000. And also the same is for the worst case scenario. What we can see here that practically that was insufficient, so we are losing money. At least now we can see that what was the problem. Goodbye.